Well, and now the next person up is an Oscar-winning actor that you know from classic films like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and from Goodbye Girl and American Graffiti, and also a little thing called Jaws, the original blockbuster. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Dreyfuss. He's auditioning for his role in the next Fast and Furious movie. The last one.
Hi.
Let's give him a nice Kansas City welcome, everybody. Would you like to spin on up here and lay some rubber up to the dais here?
A herd of cows. That's right. All right, here we go.
Well, everybody, I know that you're all anxious to talk about Jaws, but I think that before we jump into that, what I'd like to do is throw out a non-Jaws question to Oscar-winning actor Richard Dreyfuss and ask him about a little thing called, if you would be kind enough to tell us about, One Thought Scares Me.
You want to get rid of it early in the panel, okay. One Thought Scares Me is a book I just published, and it refers to the continuation of the line, One Thought Scares Me, is we teach our children what we wish them to know, and we don't teach them what we don't wish them to know. And it's about the fact that 50 years ago we took civics out of the curriculum. Taking civics out of the curriculum is a betrayal of the revolution. And the people who did it in silence and in secrecy, and they literally betrayed the authors of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And as you may have noticed, those things are gone. And it's up to you to bring them back. And that is what they call the straight dope. So it was published last November. It's been among the top bestsellers ever since. And you ought to read it because it's all about you and your failure to protect the thing that made America special for almost 300 years, and now is gone, and you don't know why, and I don't know why. It's just that we're now collectively more stupid than we were. And if you think that's just a joke, you've got another think coming, because it's not a joke. And we are in the last stages of America. And it will be gone before your children are grown. And that is the truth that everyone has been hiding from. So that's what the book is about.
Do you offer solutions?
Yes, I do. I offer solutions because apparently no one else thinks that that's important. But yes, I do offer solutions, and I offer also the idea that there are some people in this American world of ours that we should send to long prison terms.
Yes.
And I name them. So you should buy the book.
You know something, you see a bunch of celebrities and they endorse different products, different things, but this man actually puts his life where his mouth is. He spent 2 years at Oxford studying, 4 years, sorry, but at least it's an even number. And I am always looking at him in ever-increasing wonder and respect, because I think it's so important. When I watch the news and I see people do not know how many representatives we have in Congress, and some of the rules of governance, we learned this when we were children, and they're not doing it anymore, and it's crucial. I'm with him. I bought the book.
All right, I know that both of you gents have answered an awful lot of Jaws questions in the last almost 50 years since Jaws came out. So what I'd like to start out with is, what do we not know? There are people out in this audience who've written books about Jaws. So I want to know, what do we not know that you could tell us?
Well, Murray Hamilton used to keep a bottle of gin in the boot of my boot in the dressing room. Nobody really knew that.
On the night that it all came out, it was because he kneeled down and petted the stray cat.
Here, kitty.
And here, kitty, kitty, hi, kitty. And when he wandered into the hotel, people ran screaming from the room because it wasn't a kitty, it was a skunk.
And he refused to go to his room. And he slept on the couch in the lobby. The next day, the hotel was almost uninhabitable. Truth.
Yes, and there are others, but you'll have to pay me.
Now, there are many apocryphal stories about Jaws. One of them that comes to my mind is the boat was sinking, they saved the equipment, said the heck with the actors, that sort of thing. How much of that is true and how much of it is embellished?
Well, being one of those actors and sinking in the middle of the Atlantic, I'd like to say, you could follow the progress of the film by walking through any town on the Vineyard, because there were more radio mics than people, basically. And so you could always hear, the shark is sinking, the shark is sinking, and stuff like that. And one day I was on a boat with Robert and Roy, and the special effects supervisor, and you could hear anywhere on the island, the shark is not working. The shark is working. The shark is working. The shark is working. The boat is sinking. The boat is, and the boat was sinking. And I was on the fucking boat. and Freddie, the head of special effects, jumped from his hiding place and jumped over me onto the wheel and screaming, "This is the worst! This is the worst!" He tried to get the boat grounded onto the Chappaquiddick Island. He failed. And immediately, all of the actors, Robert, Roy, and myself, began to worry about surviving. And so Stephen, the director, began to send safety boats to pick us up. And he was screaming all this time, "Get the actors off the boat, please. Get the actors off the boat. Get the actors off the boat, please." And I yelled at Stephen because I was trying to lift the legs of the sound guy. He was 74 years old, and I was trying to help him over the side, and I said, "Stephen, he's 75 years old." And Stephen said, "Fuck him, get him off the boat." Get the actors off the boat. So that's the hierarchy of what's important. And any time wonder about what's worth more, a sound man or an actor. Now you know.
Now, the screenwriter, Carl Gottlieb, told me that there were a lot of ad-lib lines during the film. Could you tell me one or two, perhaps, that you contributed?
Well, see, that's a writer speaking. In fact, we made this stuff up as we went along. We just made everything up because no one could keep up with the writing of the script. And so, you know the billboard scene? Remember the billboard scene?
Yeah.
I wrote that. I wrote the whole thing. I really did. And I take great credit for that one. Everyone would eat together at night. Jeffrey, myself, Stephen, the editor's son, a bunch of us. And the editor, Verna, would take a little list out of her pocket, and she would then tell Stephen the shots that he still needed and the shots that he didn't need. And every night we kind of gathered around and exchanged this information. And I've always told Steven Spielberg that I promised that there was one story that I would never let die. And it was the night that the phone rang and Rick Fields jumped to the phone and said, "Hello? Oh, hi. Yes, absolutely. Right now, yeah. It's Robert Redford." And it was. And Stephen went to the phone and said, "Hello? Oh, hi. No, I never. Yes, I will. Yes, I will, absolutely, as fast as possible. Thank you. Thank you very much." Hung up the phone. Looked at me and said, "That was Robert Redford. He wants me to direct All the President's Men. What's it about?" And I said to Stephen at that moment, I said, "I will never let you forget that." Because this was the summer of Watergate, and everyone on Earth, including in Mongolia, knew what this was about. And I swear to God, Stephen was so focused on the movie he was making, he hadn't a clue what it was about. And so I've now done my duty and passed it on. And you can tell whoever you want. So that was real, and that's what it took to make Jaws. It took that focus, it took that intensity. It took cutting out of your brain anything that interfered with making this film. And God bless him, Stephen was able to do that. Cut everything out of his mind that had anything to do with slowing down the making of this film. The original schedule of Jaws was May 2nd to June 28th. May 2nd to June 28th.
Holy shit.
We left the island on September 15th and went on shooting for another month. So really it was 6-7 months. And it was more fun than a barrel full of monkeys. Or just about as much fun.
Before Jaws, summer was a time that the studios sent movies to die. But Jaws became the original blockbuster. So I'm curious, when you heard that Jaws was being released in the summer, did you think, okay, that's it, this movie's gonna bomb? Did that ever occur to you?
I wasn't even, I was a New York actor at the time. I wasn't even involved in movies, and I was happy to work. And I made lifelong friends. He and I have been friends ever since Jaws, and our families are friends. And we came back several years later, and we've gone on with our lives, and Richard calls and he says, why don't you and Vicky come up and have dinner, and could you bring some chicken from Greenblatt's? It's a deli in LA. So we stop at Greenblatt's, we buy some chicken, come up, have dinner with Richard et al., and within 24 hours, both of our wives delivered babies. We always blamed it on the Greenblatt's chicken.
Now, Jeffrey, you were in Jaws 2. Richard, you were not. So what I'd like to know is, did they beg you? What did they offer you, and why did you say no?
What they offered me was not enough. And what they, well, what did they offer me? It is well known in Los Angeles that the actors in Jaws were a contributing factor to the success of the film. They were not the contributing factor, but they were I got a call from one of the producers, and he said, you want to do this sequel? And I said, no. And he said, why? And I said, why didn't you give us Latvia? And he said, what? I said, why didn't you give us Manchester, England, or St. Petersburg? He said, what are you talking about? I said, you didn't give us a bonus. We worked for what can only be called an embarrassingly small amount of money, because they could. So Roy and Robert and myself were all paid exactly the same, and it was a small amount of money. And when the film opened, we shared in the glory of it all, because Stephen, who is responsible for the overwhelming success of that film, basically said to everyone who ever asked him, and the actors, without us acting our hearts out and making people laugh, they never would have succeeded as much as they did. So he wasn't fighting the idea, but the producers and the studio refused to give us even a token bonus. So